산지 기 최종 걸로 보는데 오늘 중거를 만나면 수험생 되는 거를 말해서.
So the Buddha turned the wheel dharma 3 times. We talk about 3 different turnings of the wheel.
근데 당부 간데마 지역은 풀로 세는데 아니 산지 그 중거 정말 당부가 나면 되네 콜바기 좀제 아니 다다는데 동안된다 근종을 된다 제 되네 아니 년대기 좀되나다 남제된 거는 뭐 된다시 데미지 좀 세셔버기 되네 아니 다 중문 발라서 봐가는 공부다 간다 잼지다 되는 직빙은 남자라서 봐 조원에 다 근접이 주 동시하기 아니 되는 주 송송하래.
So the first of those is the turning of the wheel dharma of the Four Noble Truths, which contain the causes, the 2 truths of the cause and results of the truth of suffering, which are the truth of suffering and the truth of origins. The truth of origin and the truth of suffering, and then the final 2 truths, which are the cause and effect of nirvana, which are the truth of the path and the truth of cessation. And so the first turning of the wheel of Dharma is primarily the teachings of the Four Noble Truths together with the Abhidharma teachings on the different realms and the sense spheres, as well as the presentation of the world systems. And so it is primarily an explanation of the fictitious or conventional truth.
There's a letter more, low member, Tindigatona, and it comes to you to be songs here, and it that thing on the
And so that the primary disciples to that, or those who were the primary recipients of those teachings, are kind of beginners or people with lower or mistaken perception, people of lower capacity or lower mental states.
나는 충분히발라 간생님의 추중 걸로세인데 네 존은 남친 그들밖에 추대다는데 장진지 맞아봐 아니 사모tum바니 조르세 샤바기 네 싫어도 버드스 먹어도 라소바니 뚱이뜸바기 아니 충거대 조르세는 손에 봐야
The second turning of the wheel of Dharma is called the wheel of Dharma of characteristiclessness, or the Dharma wheel of the absence of characteristics. And so in that turning, in the second wheel of Dharma, then, the Buddha taught that all phenomena, from form all the way up through omniscience, are not inherently existent, that they are profound emptiness, and is primarily an explanation of the perfection of wisdom of this profound emptiness.
다 충거를 무슨 바가는 저 다다는데 대신이 뭐저 된시기 아니 당 경건도 쫄아서 같은 게 되는 말이 되는데 다 충거 발바다 아니 충거 타만이 버티 저 오늘 똥이 그치한테 쏘는 말이.
And so the third wheel of Dharma is the Sugatagarbha teachings, that is the Buddha nature sutras and so on. And so the primary object that is taught within both the second and third wheels of Dharma is emptiness. La. And so in those teachings, saying that even in the ultimate truth, even the Buddha does not exist. And so for the 84,000 different types of disciple, that is, disciples of having, or the 84,000 Dharma teachings, heaps of Dharma, were taught according to all of the different interest capacities of all of the different disciples. And so that's why there are so many different levels or types of teachings. So all of the teachings are taught for those striving for liberation, are taught in order to bring one to liberation. So all of the Buddhist teachings are showing the path to liberation. And the primary obstacle to attaining liberation is self-grasping, which is also the root of samsara. And as we have seen here, there are many different ways that there can be a view of the self, or different types of self-grasping. And Chandrakirti, in his entry into the middle way, or entrance to the middle way, said that afflictions and the faults of those afflictions are all rooted in self-grasping minds. So that is, the afflictions and all of the subsequent sufferings and so on that are the results of those afflictions are all coming from self-grasping.
아니 시럽이 버렸으면 밖에 다 사모도 많이 돼 말이지.
And the primary antidote to the self-grasping mind is the wisdom which realizes selflessness. And amongst the different types of wisdom's understanding selflessness, the most profound level of that is that perfection of wisdom, which is the meaning of the middle way, that meaning of profound emptiness.
때 돈이 그 동대나 아니 맨나다 오마세야 시럽이 버렸으면 되네 사친 족친 아니 되네 맨나 저거지 다여리 다 맨나 저거지 기 동대 다네 주담게 그네로 아니 사모도 많이 what the 말이지.
And the meaning of emptiness then is shown with various different names, such as the middle way, the wisdom, Mahamudra, Mahasandhi, or the great perfection, and so on. And all of these different names are showing us or pointing at the true nature of all phenomena, profound emptiness.
That is somewhat umbanite, Omega Gabne, Tanganzo, Toberseba, Tapzo, the Nijitande, Bagum Pogodula Sobaki, long down, Robaki Gona, Tambutungi Dina Pap. They don't need a patch of what they need, and that and Samsung Gizapaki, not so young, the young jet. Did to Sanki, and it that, Dina Pap, they Tingy Bati, Young Tunicaton, they and go back in Yanslina, then also Tunito over your days.
And the profound emptiness, the primary method for realizing that profound wisdom or that profound emptiness in the context of the middle way or Madhyamaka teachings is to follow the path of reasoning set forth by the noble Nagarjuna, and to, through one's practice of hearing and contemplation, to come to a confirmation or a ascertainment of that view of emptiness through the process of hearing and again contemplating that meaning until you reach a certainty, and then to meditate on the certainty of that middle way philosophy, that certainty, and put that into practice in meditation until you come to the full realization of emptiness.
But the long road you may know, then the Sanjiki, and the Chutam, don't you down my balls on the Tinibus song shall buy your what a Tinilam and so easy sense, Sanjay song easy sense, then it to need to tone, and then also get Tinibus court over your is.
And so, one of those methods in terms of, we can follow both scriptural citation as well as logical reasoning. So as for scripture then, we can take the quote from the Buddha that says that all things are empty and selfless. And so if we have genuine belief in those words, then that can lead us to this realization.
Then the Sanjiki, that got the Teju Mambogan, that to meet them like a long Mamboya. That the song of there was a Yichi, then I need to meet over your days. They're longer than my body.
And so there are a great many citations or times when the Buddha has proclaimed the emptiness of phenomena, both in sutras as well as in the commentarial texts. And so we should develop faith and belief in those statements, and that is a way that we can develop according to Scripture by having that faith and belief.
But the Lord Jugan Tada, Kashinda, those are Kashinda, which you may know, the Lamaki, in the Semging or down Tunika, and it's my Damasong, the Tidama de la Devas, Muse, Yichina, then it's Sanjanello, Tunitos, no, but that long gone and done, so the Sanbanello, Shisuma. And
so, for example, there are many historical accounts of certain disciples who, having been shown or taught the nature of their minds by their gurus, by their lamas, by way of just some short pith instructions. So they're given those instructions, and because those disciples have such strong faith and devotion, just by receiving that instruction, there are a great many disciples who have realized the nature of mind. And that is an example of attaining realization through a scriptural transmission, or through scripture. And then secondly, we can follow the path of reasoning, logical reasoning, which is actually considering reasons and reasoning. And so we examine, we investigate, and through that investigation, we can come to the recognition that that things are not truly existing and that things are emptiness. So we will, through our examination, we will come to a certainty, and then we will meditate in that state of certainty to attain realization. And that is the path mainly following reasoning and logic. And so there are many logical reasons which will establish this truth of emptiness in the text, such as the fundamental verses of the middle way of Nagarjuna and so on. But generally, a general presentation is the 5 great reasons. So we're going to then go into that a bit. And so if you have never studied any of this reasoning of the middle way, it can be somewhat difficult to understand, but it is very, very important to understand. And if you don't study it, if you don't continue to look into it, and you just say, oh, it's too difficult, and you push it aside, then you won't understand it, you won't ever get it. But if you can really think about it and really try to understand it, then I believe that it's of course possible for you to get it. And even if you're not able to understand it immediately, you are, just by studying it and by pursuing it, you are forming some mental habits, some mental imprints that can help you to understand it in the future, whether it be in this or future lives. And that effort that you put in now will definitely bring you some benefit in terms of realizing emptiness in the future. And so, primarily, or most importantly, if you can understand the 2 truths and then gain some understanding of these logical reasons of the middle way, then it's quite easy to get an understanding of the Madhyamaka school or of the logic of the middle way. But if you have no understanding of the two truths and no understanding of the logical reasons, then it's very difficult to gain any understanding of the middle way.
Yang Tony saying the young day now treated Samaji than the Matoma, Sama Mesomando in Nangoya. Tendi Yoba in Mayana, young Sama Tuni May, but Dendo Yangomando, Namjim and so low, the new shadow. That then you can now yard the state she in Mayana or Takunzokan now get treated that time you choked. That you gender, Koran Rajin the Demba Mado, but Tuni and Yan choked. Then you don't the Denjong song to Jubasea. Not on song the Jubasea, no, that don't you call Gichi the New Young. Then the Tambo Demani so shit, then it Denis to you could on the Conde, then another unagented to you quiet, which tell you this.
And so, don't understand the two truths, and then you say, oh, everything's empty, but right now, that would seem quite contradictory to the fact that you can see things and hear things and smell things. That just seems absolutely contradictory. And you'll think, oh, of course it's not empty because I can see this and I can hear that and I can smell this and I can sense all of these things. And so for us, all of these objects of our senses and so on just very obviously appear to us and they very obviously seem to exist to us. And so, of course, we think that they're here. We think they exist. And otherwise, a lot of people think that if you say that something's emptiness, that means that you shouldn't be able to see it or hear it or sense it. And so, what we need to understand then is that if you understand the two truths, then you'll understand that conventionally or in the fictitious truth that things can exist, things can appear, but as they appear, they are not truly established or truly existing. And that is the understanding then of what is called the union of appearance and emptiness, or the union of interdependent phenomena, or dependent arising and emptiness. So first we need to understand each of the two truths so that we can then understand that union of the two truths.
Nang tong choba, tong nam choba, then Nandon Sunju Tong, what a day, Nichi, Deni Sunju, Lemani Gananja, what a delay, the Nanso days court over here. This is okay, Chemo, the Chanzo Yanda, in the summer town. There's that, the Deni Gananja, so there's a Pajan said, the Kahaka Kondo.
And so then, if you do understand the presentation of the two truths, what you need to understand is that these are presented on the basis of appearance and emptiness. That is, appearance as being the conventional or fictitious truth, and emptiness being the ultimate truth. And so when we present these, then what you will understand then is that things that appear can be empty, and things that are empty can appear. That those things are not contradictory, but are actually a union. And that appearing things are by nature empty, and empty things can appear.
jinga ne somdang ani che ta da dang yin dang what that in the dan zimbata chobasen the ne kroal man trode yoris.
So all phenomena of samsara and nirvana are primordially unborn emptiness. But for us, they all appear as things that arise, abide, and cease. We see them as in terms of self and other, and we, through our grasping at self and others, we are wandering in samsara through that ignorance or through that confusion.
Then the almost do Tajada Tarwas in a teacher almost in the Tanashia see months. The need that so I share the Sobagan Tambo, Pongo Pogado of Oma the Mason, only to Tajik like Jiva Mebakitima, on it Tamja the song, Dalima, Yinami Lasoba, and it Tajingo and Roba Delatin Oma the Tin Paviots.
So the middle way is often explained as the freedom from the four extremes. I explained that a bit above. And so at the very beginning of the fundamental verses of the middle way, Nagarjuna talks about this freedom from arising from the four extremes, or birth in the four extremes. That is, neither from self, nor neither, nor both, nor neither of them. Neither by self, nor other, but nor both, nor neither. And so that is what's referred to as the negation of arising from the four extremes.
Tati kondo ane ye dada tawa chenda mang sinata ane che danzin de mambu yori song de tenu song de ta deda tang chot du yong ma yima na ta kanza de dan tang ane che chu de da sina ane tende danzin na ban yo ba yima le.
So above in the text it said that there are a great many views of the self, or a great many types of self-grasping or views of the self. But if we condense those, we can talk about what we refer to as the self of phenomena, or the entity of phenomena, and the entity or self of persons.
That end, that choose down meeting number Sebaki, the Oma Tense, Tarantumo Tense Nabanga Sina. Te yuba imbari jadang oma da oma tanjorwa oma raju besi ni yuba imbari tate tumong tarang tumong niga ki tak chuje dami tinan babase batela rapana monga yuba imbari es tela tarang tumong gani rapache monga tenseche monga se tin sumi.
And so in order to establish that selflessness of phenomena, we have what are called the 5 great reasons. And they're often called the 5 common great reasons. And so they're common because we have 2 primary schools when we talk about the Madhyamaka. We have Prasangika Madhyamaka, and the second then is the Rangjupa. What is Rangjupa? Swatantrika, sorry. So we have 2 different schools, and these 5 great reasons are common, meaning that they're shared or used by both of these schools.
Tana ta kanza ga dami tin babar sebala ane namdo chinda rwa sin tindi ane rwa che song yo bai malis
la kabise
kanza ga dami tin babar sebatela namdo chinda rwa number 2 shinda kholo yang mai shinda taji yo namdo rwa shinda sin junju ga nam ma oma
that's also and so in order to establish the selflessness of a person, then we talk about the shintaro. The reasoning of the chariot. There's like 7 reasons that kind of break apart a chariot. That console 이게 요르게 나빠다이나.
console 이게 요죠 말에.
Valerie là tant in di parlo già in seguito da alcun.
Ale yoro. Ale yesara betena.
Do you guys have the text of 5 Great Reasons in your book?写这分解是引起个呢，一个是发音。
好嘞，好嘞，我当门都切过门都，那时候拿个蛮落下来了吧。
Okay, it's okay. Khenpo's going to read it, and then I'll read it to you. So the first reason then is the analysis of a nature, the reason of being neither a unity, or a plurality.
그때도 추탐지 추진신은 당부 조시 추진인데 추탐지의 약이 요리스. 다는 덴버트바 미데스 담자리스. 대체도 도마데 트라바 임베서스는 되게 딱고 해요리스.
Okay, so we set up a reason like this, and we say the subject, all phenomena. It follows that it's not truly established because it is neither a unity nor a plurality. Did you understand that?
Understand? Yes. Oh, yeah. That character is in the Tambu Maranzo Chuteda Tanjeta, and then Zone and Namchi Hunde Chut Hamar Kogre, also Demons, but Dember to body Sunday or what. That Dember to body is in the Mazota, Denzent in the that the Dember Madopa the Marj, Jimsin the Samatan, the Martin of Paco Yerva. Then the Chutanji, Sitamu Maranzo de Sujichis. That the Denver to ba me is in Denver to ba your Maris, Denver to ba me is in a Denver Madopa, Samoto many days, Madopo Yoro. That the Jumsi Caris in a chip the Toma the Trava in Besses in a Tatinivity. That Chutan Denver to ba the Yena, Yana the Chegiango, Yana Toma Yango. That chip the Toma Kayam, my own bucket to your Maravata, your Maravata. What at the end? Chegin chutam Denver to ba me ba junjitsu ote the Denver to ba jing the check the tomato ba your maris that is on here is.
And so first as our subject we take all phenomena, everything that exists, everything that is the things that we grasp at as being truly existing. So that is the subject. That's the thing that we want to know about, that we're trying to prove something on the basis of that. And so we take that at the beginning, we take all phenomena as our subject, and then next we're trying to say that all of those phenomena, they are not truly established, meaning that they are not truly existing in the way that we grasp at them. And what that means then, to say if they are not truly established, it means that they are profound emptiness. So we say all phenomena, it follows that they are all not truly established. And why? What's the reason? What's our logical reason? Our logical reason is then because they are neither one nor many, meaning they're neither a unity nor a plurality. So if something were truly existing, if something were truly established, it either has to be truly established as a singular entity or as a plurality. And as it is, and so there is nothing which exists which is neither a singular entity nor a plurality. So if you exist, you have to exist in one of those two ways. So first we need to establish that all phenomena
Penada Pomba, Kamba, Mi, Ni, San, Rotache, Chutamji, the Jet, the Tomaganavia Mambo, Katan, and the Dembersin, the Yorova. That day, and you get the Toma Meva dog or your race.
Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is to prove that all phenomena are neither established as a unity nor a plurality, so that the reason does not exist in the subject. Meaning that right now, in our normal perception, we perceive things as being unities or pluralities. We see many people, we see many houses, we see singular people. So we have a grasping at the true reality of singularities or unities and pluralities. So what we need to do then is to prove that the reason is true, or prove that all phenomena are free from being single or a plurality. Are there any singular or plural phenomena? Does that exist?
But
of course, we think that, of course, there are singular and plural things. If you say there's no singular and plural things, then not say you're crazy.
Yang de tumni chik toma yom mari se de yang ko gawatin rawo jing thong de yoro tinde indi ta jeje Milarepa ki ani te song yore Malaysia na semji nyamba semji ngze na mala nyamba se ba na ji ngazo ko tarop de tinde cha de yoro.
And so if a noble or Arya being looked at us, then we look crazy because we are here grasping at things as being singularities or single phenomena or plural phenomena. Whereas in reality, those things don't exist. But if you tell us they don't exist, then we seem like we would think that that's crazy talk. And it's just like the statement of Milarepa that said, when Milarepa looks upon ordinary sentient beings, he sees crazy people. And when ordinary sentient beings look at Milarepa, they see a crazy guy.
That drubza the courage in that Denver Trobaching that check the tomato your money situation. Pena that Tadang also the COVID come down in then also Chaporba comes in the television. The nature Jack up check ni sums in a forward ni sums in a Thomas in the television. That then do also Pena the COVID that Yuri is. Karsina COVID doas for what chick do nindo tomato do sin number mobuze yoro. I'm also COVID the Denver to buy your maris. Karsina COVID the chick COVID a chick cup chick your mari cup tomato in the COVID your maris that you sit in the vici. Then the Tati thought the Caribbean dog or yours in that Denver Tamundi Denver to buy that COVID cup your maris they dog over. Now to Chadam coffee your marcy, share your marble on my back. Chadam now to the Kunzo Dembaki, Sosuchi over Trobagomola, and to Tang Deva Tetam Yorisi, and then the Kalang Yoro. That two Chishu Kichi the cars in the Denver Trobachin the neck, then drop it other day. That coffee the Toby of Mari sitting in here. She so many. Then the Tan did and then also get that Chiba over, did then. That Taylor, daughter to bag children, the daughter to bag children. That the daughter to bag children, cha go the shall get talk a cha, shall get cha, that shall low not some, then I read my ear, no, then it chat, tado, then the jam about the top number one. That Adam was over the coffee say at that day, going to Zaki, cups, Nanga coffees, take a cha, cho, Roma. So what you told do that now that COVID didn't join. 다 대레레스는 다 대가 네 카드 파자 샤자 오마 토 아테 소소소소 되는 게 저게 딱이 제인데 되는 다른 이제 두팅 자면 맞아 봐기 근데 데마트 보면 같은 데 저거 그때는 봐야도 그 다다지 주먹무 제 손도 손인데 근데 거기 감나오지 저희인데 대연 대를 저거 그 딱이 제인데 저 거기 어디서는 말이 오마 어디서는 말이 단디 땡다 주지 고소지 주지 때문에 뭐 제 손도인데 근데 제 저바sam래 마도 바기 코랑 그 뭐고 그때는 나 거기 포박하는 가래리 시 딱이 제요 거기 포박하는 가래리 내는 말이 와야지 거기 그 쇼데 내는 가주리 나는 쳐리 오마리시 다 레레레레 제 가데 아니 다 거기 데메트 보면도 된다고 취재 그때는 나는 저기 지금 데메트 봐 저빠지 되는 제인데 제세한테 줘요.
And so what we're trying to establish here is that there is no singular or plural truly existing coffee. So because ordinarily we would say, yeah, of course there is coffee and there's a single coffee, there's one cup of coffee, or we could say there's multiple coffees, there's one coffee, two coffee, three coffees, and so on. Coffee exists. We're not rejecting that coffee generally, conventionally, or in the fictitious truth exists. That's not what we're objecting to. So we are trying to say that because in our ordinary perception, that is our mistaken perception, coffee exists. We have coffee. But what we're trying to show is that coffee doesn't exist as a truly established entity. There is no truly existing or truly established coffee. And so, when we start to examine this coffee, we can talk about how the coffee is something which is created by a great many, well, ultimately it is atomically established. It has, you can break it all the way down to atomic particles, but even in a more coarse way, we start the examination, we can say that this coffee has many parts. There's a top, there's a bottom, there's an east side, a west side, a north side, and a south side. And we can start breaking that down and start separating the coffee apart. And when we start pulling it apart, we can say this coffee was made from water and coffee powder and milk and sugar and all of these things. And when we remove each of those things, then we never find a truly existing singular coffee. We only find parts. And when we break each of those parts down further and further and further investigate, we never even find a single partless atomic particle. We keep going further and further. So we can therefore never find a single truly existing coffee that exists as a singular object.
근데 이제 당 무보직 시바도 접이요 말이지. 당 무보직 세양하는 줄로 너무 샤대가 그 무보직 그때라 딱이 제인데 당 무보 mambo 촌도 대바 잠마도 바 무보직 이요 말이. 다른 가서 거기 그 저기 시바나지. 거기를 시바나지. 다데 근데 무보직 다 차와지 들이 딱이 제인데 다 들이 도마 되어요리. 들이 mambo직 무보 mambo직 되어요리. 딩무보 mambo 되바 그 무보 레레티 된다는 가서 그 제바지 잡아이 마이나 대양 쪽으로 단에 되는데 다 뎀버지 대 쪽이요 말이지.
And so in that way we can never find something established as a single unity or a singularity. So just like this coffee, we can continue breaking it down, and we never find a truly existing singularity or solitary item. And as we got into, then you can go further and further in your investigation all the way until you're into very subtle particles. And all we find is a gathering of a bunch of particles. Just like with the coffee, when we first start breaking down, all we find is a great many more coarse things that come together to form a coffee, but we don't find a singular coffee that exists as a singularity on its own. We just find a gathering of many different things that we call coffee. And so then you can break it down even further into these microscopic or very tiny particles and take each one of those particles and examine it further, and you still never find a single thing which is truly established as a singularity. So therefore, through this reasoning, we can never find a truly existing or truly established single phenomenon, or singularity phenomenon.
Then that Denver to back a check to be on my is Nubona, so what you do deba. That Nubona, so what can do deba, the Nubo Rede like a young Jeona, that day and Lion, anything, Mambuchi Chan do deba some model, but Nubo chicks in Tromado. Tarin do chick that dirty tower the Jeba in Troyoma, and also then the chow or the chow shalom of something is that. Some of what I'm doing having the TV channel. Now Shiba get Denver to Bajo, my Shiba data, two sums in Deva, Maunga, Tata said, Tata de la young, and it demo to some young, I think it to be end. Tato Shiba say, okay, and Denver to Bag Shiba, catching my check down, and it's Sorok move between Chami Jane Tobio, then the Denver check Tobio. That Denver check me by Mayena. That Denver to back a tomato way of my Thomas had a check on that any check me some years in a tomato. Then they treated that and the Denver to Baki and then take the tomato way of my race. Then they did that shoot and the Denver to Bami days. Jumsing got this in the shoot and the Denver Yona, Denver to back a younger check, younger Denver to back a shoot tomato you go grace. That Denver to back shoot check and Denver to back a shoot tomami in do. Then you did that with Demidi knows what that lives on there.
And so there is no truly existing single thing. They're all just a gathering or a collection of many other things coming together. And each part, which is one of those parts coming as a collection, can also be examined further down, and we find that that as well is only a collection of further things. And so all the way down to the tiniest particles, which can be broken down and infinitely broken down, and we never find a partless particle. No matter how small the particle is, it's always still subject to, it always still has parts. We can say that it has a north side, a south side, a west side, an east side, and so on. It can be further broken down. We never find a partless particle. And similarly with consciousness, consciousness can be divided as well into the three times, the past, present, and future consciousness, and even present consciousness, present moment of consciousness can be further subdivided into its past, present, and future, and continually, no matter how subtle you get, it can go further and further and never find an indivisible, single, truly established element of consciousness. Therefore, a singular, truly existing singular entity does not exist. And if a singular entity does not exist, then a plurality, a truly existing plurality can't exist, because a truly existing plurality, the existence of a truly existing plurality depends upon a existence of a truly existing singularity, which then on the basis of multiple singularities, you can designate a plurality. And so without a singularity, you cannot have a truly existing plurality. And so therefore, we get back to the main thesis, which was that all phenomena as our subject, it follows that they are not truly existent, because if it were, they would have to either be a truly existing singularity or as truly existing plurality. And since they are not, then our thesis is proven that all phenomena are not truly existent because they are neither a singularity or a plurality.
Denver to back a chick and Tomamina, then it shoot and the Denver to back a chaplis, chaps in the Chawayudis. Caredis in the unity of the Tomakayan Roma Yukara. That check the Tomakayan Roma Chinky, the Denver to back a check the Tomakani Roma Mina, then it shoot and the Denver to back a chaplis. What are the news on it? More let you by check the dark pass.
So then, if phenomena are neither singular nor pluralities, then it must be the case that they are not truly existing, because if something's truly existing, then they have to exist as a truly existing singularity or plurality. And because they are not, then that means that all phenomena are pervaded by this absence of true existence. That means that they absolutely must be free from true establishment, or they must must be not established as truth. So it is a pervasive argument that if all things are free from being singularity or plurality, then they therefore must be, it follows that they must be not truly established. Did you understand that? So that was the analysis of a nature of the reason or plurality.
Did
you understand the two truths?
Yes.
Sort of. Oh, that is what Tambo the Kari is in Anne. When I'm so deep, that Chutu say a Demba by your Malaysia.
So let's take this watch as an example. This watch is not truly existing. So now we're going to take this watch as the subject. So we say the subject, this watch. It follows that it is not truly existing. So that's the thing that we're trying to prove on the basis of the watch, is that it's not truly existing. And so the reason is because there's no singular watch and there is also no plural watch. Is there a singular or a truly existing singular or plural watch? There is no truly existing singular watch, right? This is just the handle, this isn't the watch. Once we separate all the individual parts, then we don't find any watch. There's no watch established here. And so once we put all those parts together, then this will perform the function of a watch, but the watch itself as an entity is not established in any part of this thing. And finally, even we can't even say that this is a handle or a strap, because we can separate the strap again and examine it individually. So is there a singularly, truly existing watch? And so if there is no singular, truly existing singular watch, then it follows that there also must not be a plurality watch as well, right?
양의 추조적 요거리 데마토바게 추조적 요거리 양의 데마토바게 추조 망보 요거로 되니 다 데마토바게 추조적함이 데마토바게 추조 담아야미 사실 데마토바게 추조 메로 다 데마토바게 추조 메바 잡송하세.
And so we have established then conclusively that there is no truly existing watch, because if there was a truly existing watch, it would either have to exist as a truly existing singularity or a truly existing plurality. And since there is no truly existing singularity watch or plurality watch, then we have proved conclusively that there is no truly existing watch. And you can take that same reasoning and apply it to any phenomena, to all phenomena, in the exact same way. And when you pursue that line of reasoning, you can understand phenomena are not truly existing, or not truly established. So the second reason is called the analysis of causes, the Vajra sliver reasoning.
추창마 데모토바리 산능가서 데니빈 초도여 바인바리스.
So what is it that we think about reality? So we think that everything that appears to us truly exists. And so all of these phenomena that arise and then abide and then cease, we think that we are mistaken in thinking that all of these things truly exist.
When medo nanoji tambuchi, dadane, tar medo danga, what the tinditinga nesom ki rajin din debaki, medo janganzola nam, then namata danganzo medo the dembatobarindo sana, then it treated demanzimba the tindi.
So, for example, with this flower, we think that this flower first grows, and then it abides, and then in the end it will cease. And so we have a flower which has these three parts or three times of arising, abiding, and ceasing. And as a result of that, our perception of the flower, then we have a grasping that the flower truly exists. And so again, we take the same subject. So the subject of our debate or of our reasoning is all phenomena. And so we say it follows that they are not naturally arising or inherently arising. And then our reason is because they do not arise from any of the four extremes. So if something were And so if something were to truly arise or inherently naturally arise, then it has to arise from one of the four extremes. Either, for example, with a sprout. So sorry, they either have to arise from oneself, from another, something which is other than themselves, from both self and other, or from neither self nor other. So if something arises, it has to arise from one of what's called these four extremes. There is no arising that is not from one of these four. So we could take this example. The subject, a seed. It follows that there is no naturally arising sprout from that seed, because that sprout doesn't arise from self, other, both, or neither, from any of these four possibilities. So And so then the first example, if we're taking this taking the example of a seed, is that you can't arise from yourself. So the first example is from self. So a seed doesn't arise from the seed, right? Similarly, a father isn't born from himself. Something can't arise from itself.
그 가리리스나네 상우랑은 랑게 그거야 말보다 담보는 랑 drop 차와이 마이나 되네 될 주진 신식이 제거요 말이지. 근데 랑랑 제와요 말이지.
So the seed itself has already arisen, it already exists, and therefore does not need to arise again, and therefore it does not arise from self. What is meaning by self is from the exact same entity, not like another seed.
근데 다 메도드 drop 차라와. 메도드 drop 차를 리 메도드 양자 제거마도.
This flower right here is already established, it already exists, therefore it doesn't need to arise again.
근데 랑 제와요래. 뭐 랑 제와요래.
So, can things arise from themselves? Is there such arising from self? So there is no arising from self.
니마베나 장지말라 소바기 준비지 켈링 긴제 요리데 대저괴제 뭐 조해요 말이 근데 준비니 타데리 거리 준비니 찍리 차드 되네 걸 제자지지야 요 말이 제 라인 제거가 아니 따따라 그바야 요 말이 근데 준비니 찍리서 타데리.
So cause and effect can't be one thing. They have to be inherently separate. Of course, there are some, such as the Samkhya school of Indian philosophy, that say that cause and effect are one, but when we examine that with our logic, we find that that's not true. If they were one, then there can't be the thing that generates and the thing that is generated, because those inherently have to be something separate. As well, there would be no purpose to it, because the thing is already established, therefore it does not need to establish itself. So, is there such a thing of, so are cause and effect separate, or are they the same thing?
Jumdeni tadero. Jumdeni yod.
Can there be one thing that creates another thing if those two things are the same? There isn't, right?
Jumdeni jodan devasi taderi.
So cause and effect have to be something separate, different, right?
Jundeni chegri chade ani kolate jodan deva chagumsa. Then chezade chezi chagumdo.
If they were one, if it was self from self, then there couldn't be something which was cause or effect, or that which created and that which did the creation.
Then the rang chewa yomaro.
So there's no arising from self.
Then the dada chewa tromado.
And so we cannot establish a arising from self, right?
Where
is it? Mother and a child are separate, right?
If
the mother and the son became one, then they would no longer be mother and son. So there's no arising from self. So there is arising from other, right? A child arises from a mother, right?
어떤 대형 나라서 마다 맞지는 근데 마다 직진 잡아고 원다 나라서 로그 딱게 마다나 되네 아니 뭐 진이 제와 요리스 벤 말에 부게 제와나 이 사문에 요게 제와나 이 요리스.
And so in an unexamined viewpoint, in a just worldly, conventional way of speaking, an unexamined way of speaking, or an unexamined, conventional way of speaking, then there is arising from other. There is a child that arises from a mother. There is a sprout that arises from a seed.
then no yin jewa do it.
So is there arising from other?
yin jewa yo maris da.
There isn't any arising from other.
yin jewa yo no jewa ra yin to bando. Then the yin jewa yo maris.
If there was arising from other, then there would be a inherently existing arising. But all phenomena are inherently birthless, so there is no such birth.
That's yin jewa yo maris. The Jimse Samotang. Jimse Samotang, the Kitchen Tower get in the Samotong go here is, and so there, Omag, what is a bedroom, what tower?
So there is no such birth from others, no arising from others, but this is something we need to think about very carefully in terms of very tiny fractions of time. And so the logic and reasoning of the middle way is very subtle.
Then chance of that Jiva Meva Kadu Omag Repataso, and send the tower get in the Samotong go to. Kiji then the Samotong talk over here is.
And when you're thinking about this type of middle way reasoning, you have to think about it in a very subtle way because we're talking about very subtle distinctions of time.
Then do they get you that Kiji drink then the Mala de is.
So all phenomena, composite phenomena, exist as a continuity or a stream of moments.
Omala Sobaganani Peja, Jane said, Ben Babchuta, Marmeki, Zemoda, which it in some time. Tam Babchuti, Banda Yonatan, Nanto, Lumbaji Chotela, what that Chota Tapa, Chota Terry, Sunday Yoruba. Yena Chota Terry, or my Chota Taki, the Haman Bando Yori, and some Sarva love you, Yori. Nimacho the Summa Mari, Sumacho the Nima Marawaya. Coach that the Nivaki don't. But an also Marmot and Marmot Bard of the Watan, also Marmot yard drones at the Tana drone at Tata, but the made a chili somewhere on the look. Rio man, made it on guard a year, Kitty, Nima than guard, Yuma the Yanja made them but the Nima the made so sad or Yoruba. Then the Tamuki Jim, Jenna, the Nisamotatis.
So first we need to think about a continuity of moments, and some of the examples that are given in the middle way text are a river and a butter lamp. And so let's think about a river first. When we look at a river, we're always thinking that the river is the same river. But it's not really. It's actually that the previous water has already passed and subsequent water is flowing through, and that's later water isn't the previous water, and the previous water isn't the later water. Similarly, we can think about a butter lamp, where when we look at a butter lamp over a period of time, we think that it's just been one flame or one fire. But actually that flame is arising newly and ceasing moment to moment. And so that earlier flame has already exhausted and a subsequent flame has arisen from moment to moment. So we need to first think about this continuity of very subtle moments of time.
Yorianade, now you think Shiba Inade. That's some Kejik in the Jengazo de Yoris.
And so whether we're talking of external objects or our internal consciousness which perceives those objects, they both exist in a momentary succession of arisings and cessations.
That Tindila Sono Town, that Jin Jewa Maris, when the sound and new Jewa Maris, Kandasi Jewa medicine, Jin Sayate, Nanzo Gata, Jordan Devo Sayata, John Moon, Devo Servo, Gogravaya, Nanzo Gogravaya Maris.
And so when we think about this, when we think about it in this way, then there is no arising from other. There is no sprout that arises from a seed. And so how is it that we can think about that? So think about cause and effect. cause and effect have to exist where the cause is previous and the effect arises after, right?
Then just Shibate Tamu Manetro. Deva said, you take a G good, and it is duty slow the trouble. Koran Jiza Jiziro. Jiza Jizi said, and it is Hansel young go to us.
And so the cause has to come before to generate the subsequent or later result, because they are exist in a relationship of one which creates and the other which is created or generated by. So they have to exist in subsequent moments.
Then the Jundin has to go on.
Do causes and effects have to exist, one earlier and one later?
Go no.
They have to.
Mama Sama. You put David Joga comes and David Yamaro.
So at the time of the cause, the result doesn't exist yet, right?
Mare, take a Chetank Jundek child, get it. Then the Jundep and the sound in New Jagona, Deja, sound in New Jagona, sound when the drop. Then is sound Dela and it's Juji in the Mamute and sound it and then New or was.
And so when we think about a seed and a sprout, so first we have to have a seed, right? And then when that seed meets with all these various causes and conditions, then later it can give rise to a sprout, and that sprout can then exist, right?
That's the Tamjas of Imbes. Sound Tambo drop. Then is sound the Gigi Mambo Zomunde. This season, David Chivaches of the killing email.
So do you accept that first you have to have a cause, and then later, only later can the result?
Tambo Abada Amani Yogno. Abba Amani youth have a Yopo Jigno. Oh, then it's a permanent. Then you juror. Then juror. They were the poor. That's really there. Never dream at all. The poor done. Then there was a poor here. No. Then imagine that Jumjimaro.
You the man, you will never talk one.
That on what they judge, not sound and shake. Sound and shake. That is over there carrying sound and one drop. Only tell a sound that new Jiva Jujin so on do, when I'm so shinka the sound up the way. Then the sound of one do. That's how the joke knew what the Jacono. They never knew what the Jacono. They're killing him. Yeah.
So do you accept this? First of all, do you accept this that, for example, when we have a farm, first we have to plant a seed, and only later will we get a sprout? Do you accept that?
Killing him.
But in order to get the seed, you need to have had something sprout.
That's we're talking about one seed and its sprout, not
Really?
other seeds.
That is just a kill on what is. Oh, that a kill on some of the Jula. That career. That Samule knew that Nubu Yini Yijiwa Yomaris. Samule Tade the Jurba knew the Jiwa Yomaris. And so do that anymore. Do that one, Nasuka Tamja. That is got it. Order.
What we need to prove then is that there is no arising of a sprout from a seed which is different from it. Because we're trying to prove that there is no arising from other.
Oh, that is a Yini Jinjiwa Yoman. Karisina, Samu Yobaga Kala, New Mandova. New Yobaga Kapsa, Samu Gatando. Then it is in the Tadis Mubuni, not Tadis Shegudova. Mubuni, not Tadis Shegudova. Then Mubu Jimmy, and the Kuni Tadis Shemdo. Nanzo Romra Dan, Nagayagarani Tadis Shemdo. Rachu knew or Tenikar is Shemdo. Then the Tajin is in Jimamado.
And so
they were your Baka Sound Gats, 상우 여바 그 값은 내가 뭐도 요거 뭐도 요거 여바 그 값은 상우 여 말이 상우 여바 값은 요거 여 말이 근데 다 진의 째워 뭐도.
And so there is no arising from other because at the time of the cause, the result doesn't exist. And by the time the result has been established, the cause has ceased. So for us to refer to two things as different, they both have to exist. And so at the time of the cause, at the time of the seed, there is no sprout. So you can't say that the sprout is different from it because it doesn't even exist. It's like saying that the horn of a yak is different than the horn of a rabbit. Rabbits don't have horns, they don't exist, so you can't say that they're different. If you had two horns, like two real existing horns, you could say those horns are different, but you can't say that the horn of a yak is different than the horn of a rabbit, because the rabbit horn doesn't exist. So similarly, because at the time of the seed, the sprout doesn't exist, and the time of the sprout, that the seed doesn't exist, there's no other to be born from because the other doesn't exist. So there is no arising from other.
So when
you say that something is different from another, then those two things have to exist at the same time to even compare them. So cause and effect are not different because at the time of the cause, the result doesn't exist, and at the time of the result, the cause doesn't exist, and therefore there is no arising from other.
I think
yeah.
Seed the Munzi Dr. Tu.
Some
Munzi.
There's some color in the children. When a metal there's sound in the children. There is sound just. There is some sound in Yoruba. Then they ever there is sound young and children. They got to sound got her. They could sound good capsule didn't never your marrow. Then you can yin chagamo. Yin is the Muboni.
So, for example, with this flower had a seed, right? And at the time that the seed was there, this flower didn't exist. And now that this flower exists, now this flower is fully established, that seed also no longer exists. So to refer to two things as being different, they both have to exist at the same time. And since right now that seed has ceased to exist, we can no longer say that the cause of this flower, which was the seed, is different from the resulting flower.
Mama, you're a pugu, you're young. You got there, you get a chat.
There you are. Mama, the poor nigga, Kajakan yoga. To look at your mark. When a Katanki Pama did on Taranka Pamani Kahara. Kajama, Kajakan, Taranaka is a bit, the Tampachi go, Judite. When a chon over the in a chum bachon over the in. Nasoka dear Kadu in a pen, the Cholong Doji, Kadu in a Cholong the dead is Labra, what the dead is. What I'm not Yanin Tongyong Labra, when the Cholong do the Canada and so Bachuchi the song, the Nichi, the Lotem, the Yanichis, oh, 10 like an Yanin Chot and Tongs on Labra. Carson Yanin and a song. Then Yanin Chot and Tongs. Jun Yanin Tongi Chot the Dada the Marawa. Marawa. Bardo. Then the Yaninka Apate, Tadu Apate.
Okay, so he asked the question, okay, I understand about the seed and the sprout, but what about a mother, for example, a mother and her child? So the child's form, but the mother still exists. And Khenpo said, but the mother of yesterday is not the same mother of today, for example. So we have to think about this in subtle moments. Just like, that's why I gave the example at the very beginning, of the stream of water or the river. So just like a stream of water or a river, we always think that it's the same one. So you might say to your friend that we went to this river in Canada last year, and oh yeah, I've seen that river, we went there before, but that river from last year is not the same river from now, right? It already flowed past, it's different water now. And so that's why the way we need to think about it is as these series of moments, that the previous one, the previous moment is not the same as the next moment of the river or a person or whatever.
Tate kosoma. Then tang zo mada maje ba yima yena ta jewa yore. Parle puga je ta sang ta kale to dan re dan sang kale ta phaba yena nyugo to dan re to je yore ba. Then ji jujin je tender mada maje ba chang ani tene jujin sama jewa yore. Te oma thanyor ba ka khele ngre. Ta then 맞아 오마 탄저바근 직진 좀 가래 라브다는 저바 맞아 다시 나와서 고조 켈링 말이지 제조 다른 게 부 방만을 보고 제와 요 말이지 오마를 빠서 쓰는 마다는 켈링 말어 봐요 근데 담보대 자셔 고조 간시에 그지 뒤때는 되는 저 빠단시다 눈에 고조 오마를 오마가 동시에나 되는 오마 저 빠단 거 그래 And
so, in general, in an unexamined level, arising exists. If you plant barley or rice or wheat or whatever, then the plant will grow from that. There is a cause and effect. And there is a birth or an arising from that. There is mothers give birth to children and so on. All of that exists. And Chandrakirti said that, even the Prasangika Madhyamaka would accept that. He said, don't debate with people about worldly existence. Like in a worldly setting, and you should also accept what everyone else accepts. So if people say, that the sprout comes from the seed, you should say, of course, it arises from the seed, and just accept that. And if it's a time when you're just discussing worldly things, then you should also accept those things. But when it comes time to discuss the middle way view, then you should go into this examination. But in general, then you should just accept with worldly convention.
New Yoga Capsule, Jonga, Sade Tade, and your Maris. The young Rapajian thing, Yin Jet Woman, Pena Dega Sound Deki, and it that a talk new jet of your mother. Kate Yin Jet, so that's what Jet Sari Sonia to doubt our work. Major let your move up with your terrace in a meadow, men now a lord, now and on a move up jet. Chosaris, Kate Yin Jet, so my bayina.
And so then there is no arising from other, because otherness itself does not exist in terms of cause and effect. Because seed, the sprout doesn't exist, and at the time of the sprout, the seed doesn't exist, and so there can be no relationship of otherness. And because otherness doesn't exist, or other doesn't exist, there can be no arising from other. And there's another reason given for the not arising from other. And Chandrakirti says also that if things could arise from other, then anything could arise from anything. Because if two things are inherently separate or different from each other, then they exist without any relationship to one another. And if they exist without relationship and one can arise from the other, then anything could arise from anything. For example, darkness could arise from light and so on.
Tenenda Jewa say at the Jujin Tender Zang Pa Mata Maje Hanata Jewa the Trogres, Nasotake Mazena Jewa. Ata is Jewa Yamayan, Chu Kanya Demba to Bayoma. Then the Jewa and Togomares, that is so. Then the Jujin Mambo, the twin and Jay in Wayamayana, then Raji Dendro Jewa Meba Chabris. That time is a woman can only treat on the Demida Dogo, the Bama Dogo. Then Tata Judging so far the twin is no Jay in my Yoruba. That dembe tobaje yona kase takti ta jeba yana ko jewa da jogo yoro de jogo yoro is
And so,
kanji jin ji la tema ji de le jeba ran ji yu mai sin de ne song ji ju jin yin la tui na songwa go ngo yin na ran yin ji dembe tobaje jewa me ba ka chabu is.
And so there's a quote that says, "Whatever arises because of conditions does not arise." And what that means is that, of course, things can arise from conditions in an unexamined way, but when you examine things and you find that they only exist because they rely upon other things, then that is the proof you need to prove that there is no truly existing arising. And so, in an unexamined way, in an unexamined sense of reality, then we can say, of course, that things arise from other things, that arising or birth exists. But there is no truly existing arising that can be found once we enter into the examinations that we've just done.
아니 뭐 랑에 니지 인레 인메지 다테 제와 저만도 다레 제와 메바 톱송 아니 뭐 인레 되니 제와 메바 톱데 다 니가 임바지 제와 요 말와냐 다레 다 제데바 인레 인 제와 가요 말로 때 니가 제와 저 말와 되는 다 이어되는 제용으로 오면서 나타는 뭐 제와 제 요는 양을 랑 제근도 양을 랑에 인데 저바지 제근도 야는 네가 임바지 제근도 야는 네가 마임바지 제근도 대래 진도 저가 그 제와가 타요 말고 타이셔가 크도 여러 근데 다 랑레 랑마지 인레 인메지 다 네가 임바 제와요 말고 랑레 랑제 대바 인레 인제 대바 레레는 말도 네가 저거 말고 근데 다 네가 마임바다 다 매바데 대 저거 말고 근데 다 이제 제와요 말이지.
And so then we've shown then that there is no arising from self, and that there is also no arising from other. And so if there's no arising from self or other, there can be no arising from both self and other, because there is neither of those are individually established in the first place to create something on which to generate something combined. Like they don't exist individually, so the two of them together can also not create anything. And also then the fourth possibility, so the four possibilities are birth from self, or arising from self, from other, from both self and other, and from neither self nor other. And so other than arising from self and other, there is no other possibility. So there is no neither self nor other. And so there's no arising causelessly also. So there's no arising from self, none from other, none from both, and none causelessly. And so, in an unexamined, conventional manner of speaking, any phenomena that exists has to rely upon a cause for its existence. And so there is no nothing that exists causelessly, and therefore there is no arising from any of these four extremes. So now we're just thinking about causes, right? So did you understand this? So if we're thinking about a seed, for example, we're thinking about arising in terms of a seed, and if something were to arise, it has to arise in one of these four ways. So we're just examining a cause here, right? And when we say in Buddhism that all phenomena are without arising, or they are birthless, we are saying that there is no truly established arising. Do you understand?
하고서 계속 봐봐서 하고도 계속 남바디 뽑아지는 남바디 좋네요. 그만은 간데성이 왕 같이 해요. 나마 같이 동이요. 라 다 딘디 성동데 되는 거 동이 있어야 돼. 되는 이치제 도간다 봐. 그래서 딘디 딱 그래서 록. 다 제버가 차게 돼가. 제버를 제바 유미팅고 그러고
And so now, if you really think about these reasonings, then you can really start to have some faith or some belief in this teaching about emptiness. So the next is the analysis of results, the negation of the arising from an existent or a non-existent.
다 줄에다 근데 제버티엔데 단 제버 여바디 제거리서 제버 메바디 제거리다.
And so now, what we need to think about here is a result arises from a cause, right? And so, does the result arise from a cause that exists or a cause that doesn't exist? So again, we take the subject, all phenomena. Follows that there is no inherent arising or truly existing arising. Because that result arises neither from an existent nor a non-existent. Now, and so would a existing result come about from that cause, or a non-existing result come about from that cause? Okay, so if something exists, if something arises, it either has to arise as an existent or as a non-existent. Does a result arise that exists or one that doesn't exist?
Exist.
Raise your hand if you think an existing result arises. So if something arises, it either has to arise, the result then has to arise either as an existent or non-existent. So if you think it's an existent, raise your hand.
Are you raising your hand?
Yeah, I have my hand up. It's neither one, neither arises. There's no arising. If the result already exists, then what's the point of it arising? If this flower already exists, then what's the point of it arising again? What's the point of an existing thing arising? It doesn't need to arise again. It's already established. The result is not need to be reestablished.
The method you in the Tatontin method, the Chiegona, then the devil Yavachi.
If that flower already existed, then it would not need to be brought into existence. There's no point. It already exists. What's the point of it arising? If you have a field and that field has rice growing in it, then there's no point in planting more rice in it, right? You don't need to plant it again. It's already arising. Already grow. Once a person has already been born, they don't need to be born again. They already exist.
Yeah.
So you've already been born. You don't need to be born again. You exist, right? You already exist. What's the point? You don't need to be born again, right? So if Sewang needed to be born again as they already exist, then they would just keep existing, keep on being born thousands and millions of times. And if a reincarnation of a Lama had already been recognized, and they already exist, and they don't need to be recognized again. So you can't non-existent result. And a non-existent thing cannot arise because it doesn't exist. And when we really think about it with this examination, there's no an existent doesn't need to be arisen, and a non-existent, no matter what we do, cannot be made to exist. And so then the subject, all phenomena, it follows that they do not have any truly existing arising because they do not, a result which exists doesn't arise, and a result that doesn't exist also doesn't arise. Do you understand that a bit?
Oh, very good.
And so from the perspective of the cause, then there's no arising, right? There's no arising from self, there's no arising from other, there's no arising from both self and other, and there's no causeless arising, right?
근데 다 다들 적과대 다 그래서 제와요 봐요 삼대 봐도 다들 적과대 가래지 땅 거야. 근데 토지는 뭐 가래나 돈로나 이게 무슨 다젠데 아니 마토 그래서 근데 저도 도리즈는 봐리스.
And so that was called the analysis of causes, the Vajra sliver reasoning, and it's called the Vajra because it's like lightning that can destroy anything, no matter what thing we are grasping at or having self-grasping towards. The logic and reasoning of the Vajra sliver reasoning can eliminate it or destroy it.
That's somebody devil che ba yomi chengo sendu devil yoba chemgo me ba yan chemi then do devil cha the samo tang yang ani jodi samo che ba yomare sitindi shedis.
And then the next one that we just went through is the analysis of results, the negation of the arising of an existent or a non-existent. And so then again, so first we thought of causes, and second, when we consider or analyze results, again, we find no truly existing arising.
That junde nikala cheba meje chengo sina roba jebate.
And so the fourth then is called the analysis of both causes and results, the negation of arising from the four possibilities.
That tel kare sina jeba chegle jo chegle ani jeba toma cheba yo maris. Yang jeba jo toma le ani jeba chek cheba yo maris. Te junde toma le toma cheba meba ani chegle chek cheba meba se tate kong roba so cheba roba. Then Jolene Deva Chewami, Deva Jolly Chewami, Sadu, Ta Jochele, Anitin Deva Tomatan, Jochele, Deva Chetan, Aniti Jochel and Deva Chetan, Jotomal and Deva Tomati, Mojet, Nika Chewamado. There's a what a conga chiwa. Could you let Nika put on Chiwado?
And so this one, which is the analysis of both cause and result from the four possibilities. So the four possibilities are that from one cause there come multiple results, or from multiple causes come one result, or from one cause comes one result, or from multiple causes come multiple results. And the reasoning then is exactly the same of the above mentioned logical reasonings.
That's a pang about Taylor, and it than the Tamjil Juba, tender timber Sinata, Jordan Deva, two Tamjil Juba, tender was in a Topomaki, Tension Tamjil Jero, ten younger what it is.
And so the final one is called the analysis of everything, the king of reasonings, the reason of dependent origination.
The ten younger what is what Tamjil and Chod Juba, but a Jero is.
And the reason of dependent origination is the supreme of all reasonings, said to be the king of reasonings.
That is Chutamji Chujins, that is Chihuahua, so Chutamji Chujins.
And so we have the same subject. The subject is all phenomena.
Demba Tobamides, Raji Demba Tobamides, Duzarava, Raji Demba Tobam Yomaris, Chutamji Raji Demba Tobam Yoma, Marichutamji. Demi is Raji Demba Madoba, Demba Madoba, Tomani is, then to Drozarova. That Junsi Kareko, Ta Kareko is in a Chutam, danger the run you want in the sellers in a Tate good.
And so then the thing that we are to establish on that subject is the same as before, that they do not inherently or truly exist. That is, that they are emptiness. So the subject, all phenomena, it follows that they are not truly existing. And why? What's the reason? What's the logical reason that we can give to prove that? And the reason is because they are dependent origination. Okay, so first we'll take this flower, for example. So the flower then is our subject.
Tendo nga so ka method demo to bari sound method demo to bari Rawa ya method Tonya nando Ria nando Zipo nando Nyen Jeo nando Tananda su New Yong na check new na call you jero Pesha te yo jero
And so let's take this flower for an example. So this flower is the subject then. And so this is a very beautiful flower. It has very nice colors, nice shape, a nice scent. And so we grasp at this as being something that truly exists. And so that grasping at the true existence of the flower is what's called the grasping at the self of phenomena of the flower. And so is this flower truly existing? You'll say, yeah, of course, I can see it and smell it and touch it. Someone bought it, paid money for it, and brought it here.
Amy, jero Method call you okay That in the method Megan Toya no
So you can see this, right, with your eyes.
method yep method kado That Tuman Tomia Then Lavagan Toya
You can feel it with your hands, see it with your eyes, smell it with your nose, right?
Then method Jana
It's got some sound, right?
That method Denver to body no some year on so long.
And so we think that this flower truly exists.
That they are Tata Denver is.
La.
They are Natoga Toya Yoba, Tuntomia Yoba, Toya Yoba, Tama Denver is.
So it's all true that we can see it, that we can touch it and smell it.
Oma Baga Techo, Megan Toya Yomari, Nagan Nomia Yomari, Labe Toya Yomari, Sumamaris.
Madhyamaka people would not say that you can't see it or touch it or smell it.
Only the Tindige Yima Yindi. That day Yenaya, Tananzo and now they were the Tanashibanaji, Anto Sosuji Longola, then the method and Hingiondo, method and Zibondo, the Yakados in a so look at the Nivijade.
Lord Dilakari.
Look at the Nipat in the method, Zibotan Hingios in Anto Longola Nang, look at the method and Zibotan Hingios in the Nivijade. Lupata and the Nivijade.
And so we see the flower, we see its shape and smell its smell and everything, but then with our mind, we consider that this is a beautiful flower and that it has a nice smell and so on.
That day, and so Taki Laki Zuyomas. Taki Zavan Zuyomas.
And we have not gone into any level of examination of this flower. And so it's just, we take it exactly as it appears to our minds as an ordinary being.
That tell Zubaka Jay, that method the Chudins, Denver to Bamides, that Denver to Bayomas, Manzo now and Ajimaris. From
But then when we start,
Meadow Koran with natural the Kalidis in the Naranzo now Najimaris in the Nibsumiris.
So then we start to examine this flower and we say the subject, the flower, it follows that it's not truly existing. So we're saying that it doesn't exist in the way that it appears to us.
Naranzo long Koran natural the Kalidis in Naranzo long and Nawana Yinki, Denver to Bakameto Maris. Koran with Nelo the Kalidis in and the Denver Madabaris. Meadow the Koran Rai, Tumbanis.
And so what is the nature of this flower? The nature of this flower is not the way that it appears to our mistaken mind that sees it as truly existing, but the true nature of this flower is that it is not truly existing and that it is emptiness.
That Junsi Koya Laudo. Chutumi about the Junsi Kari Labadis, that no. And so that Taki
Why is that the case?
Then the Omabaki. Sanji Jomni Nugget Jumsi Kari Koyorisina. Temporary says that Gigi Mambo, the twin song Yumba, this Jumsi Day round days, the song.
And so the reason that the Buddha would give us for telling us that this is not truly established is because it is a dependent arising. And that its existence relies upon a great number of causes and conditions coming together.
Then the Gigi Tomatis song, Kele.
And do you guys accept that this flower exists because of many causes and conditions?
Yes.
So
you accept that?
The judging mambo the tune song whatever.
So
What is
this flower's existence does rely upon many causes and conditions coming together, right?
the in a chizo judging mambo so my by in a tungi in Bakele, you know, mean Hako on the
La.
The method judging mambo the tune song in Bako to Kale and what? Yen that judging tender mambo the song Kale Langa Youngs. That day young judging tender so my by in a tungi in Baki Chawa the Kozukel, you know, mean Hako on the
Yeah. So I see that you all accept that this flower's existence relies upon the coming together of many causes and conditions, but who knows if you accept that just because it is the coming together of many causes and conditions that it necessarily has to be emptiness because of that. I don't know if you accept that.
Killing him.
Do you accept that?
Yes.
Oh, oh, that then I got to me go. That in the end, shoot Hamji, Kondag, shoot Hamji. The matter about Tungi in this, guys in the timber himself said that killing you.
So we generally accept that we can say that all phenomena, the subject, it follows that they are emptiness or that they are not truly existing because they are dependent origination. So do you accept that?
Zendo. What up to day you might attend? Karisina could Denver model, but Jensen Karisina, Temderiana, that Tuni in Bag Chawa the Karid, Kanavi Chawan the way you know. That Temder is the Jiti Mambo, till the two Mambo, till some zone, Tina song de Bajava. Rava Mado body, Mubo Jig and it's Denver to Baji, Madova. That meadow say I am meadow, Yeta, Kado, Tenega, Zoda, then Mambo, it's from Zombie. Naranzo could live meadows if I have. That didn't really party, she ton of meadows in a Raji, Denver to Baji Mado. That Kade Denver to Baji, Unatan, Yin Matuba, Denver to Baji Yogurata. When the meadow knows Denver to Baka Meadoji Yobayana, that is Jujin Koran Yin Lion Matu, Kana Matuba. That Masoka Caseta, Jeba Yena, Jeba Sena, couldn't Jerome Baji Yugo with this, Denver to Baji Yuna. Umazawa Shiraki, Raji in the Jura, the Nayan Tepa Maino, Raji Denver Tobacco, Yin and Juratawa and Juratumaya, still called Rajinki, Sinira. So, the Yin and Juratum Yoba, Chuti Yoba, you know, they call Raji Maris. They do Chutanji, Tama, Tipin, and Dervan Juma, Chu Yin, Juji Mambo, Tuna, Song de Baji Yimba Indu, then it Chuchek at them. Then Rawan Sutok Yena Matubaki, then it Dembetuba. Your marriage is in that in some
And so anything which relies upon causes and conditions, or many things, anything that relies upon anything else for its own existence, then is said to be a dependent arising. So that's the proof that we have, therefore, that something is not truly existing. And that if something is a dependent arising, then it therefore must necessarily be not truly existing and therefore emptiness. And so the flower, for example, the flower has many aspects. It has a color and a shape and different parts of the flower that when we separate them, when we pull them apart, ultimately we can separate them, and through that examination we can get to a point where we no longer find a flower, because the coming together of all of these causes and conditions and different parts and aspects of a flower, when they all come together, we see that, and we actually just posit or project on the basis of all those causes and conditions the idea of flower. So the flower's existence relies upon the coming together of many causes and conditions, and therefore it is not an independently existing, therefore truly existing or truly established phenomena. If something were a truly established phenomena, what that would mean is that as much as we examine it, it should never change the existence of that thing. That we should always find that thing, even when we examine it, that nothing can change it. So in the fundamental verses of the Middle Way by Nagarjuna, he says that if something were truly existing, then nothing should be able to change it, and therefore it should not rely upon any other causes or factors for its own existence. And so we can say that all phenomena are not truly existing because they all are dependent arisings. Therefore, which is to say that they all rely upon other things or the coming together of other things or causes and conditions for their existence.
That the that two times temporary in back Jumsin the Dina, then two times the Demba Madoba to me the child the years in the Tinipson here. Today, independent answer to Danzenda over then some of the tongue you may be in the young. And answer which is Da Sayate, which is Demba to what you get the answer on Zimayura, Shimbayo. Yena, Teleyan, not other body jail, Chibai, but Demba to buy your money. Da Sayate, Pumbo Tang, Tindi Mambo, the men, what are they, Mali? That tea in it now, Yambaga Lot and Anthony. Pumbo puts all the data tower till the time get that in the dance in the young. Dance there, Mambo, the thing to the law. Madovaki, and it's Dashi Batin, the Metrova, and Ginger Tobati, your Marie song. What a thing to something.
You got it.
And so the reason then, by using the reason of dependent origination, that being that because something is a dependent arising, we can then say that it pervasively, or it absolutely must be not truly existing, or that it must be emptiness because of the reason of that thing being a dependent origination or dependent arising. And so the same can be applied with self-grasping, the idea of self. So our self-grasping, our sense of self then is something that we grasp as being truly established or truly existing. But really, our sense of self or our idea of self-grasping is based upon observing our aggregates. And when we see our aggregates, our body and our consciousness and so on, we think I, or we think me. And that is what's called the view of the transitory collection, which is dependent on many things coming together to generate that sense of self or that sense of I. And therefore, there is no truly existing, that is, truly existing self, that is a self that doesn't rely upon other things for its existence. Thus,
Sobala, and Telang of Dembanze, did Dembanze Bacalo, the Tina, and then also Jinanji, Senator Gado, Torama, which is there, and it is that Chadamus on the new Mamuchi there, Yorvan, and so that is yours of the truth. That is also the law of Bama, so Yeda, Yom, Lord and Temate, that the Nicotan, Telane, Chadanglo Mamuchi de Hayori, then it's Horace Gadoglo Mamuchi de Hayori. There some so noted the sort of Dembersian Baki. That Dembersian Baklo, teachings in Tina, Denji, Demberzimba, Dembersian Batito take a Chadan Kedi. Teniji in the Tayam Namju, Tindiga Naran so that she saw the true Chu. The soul and it will mark a report of some town. The Ninja, the old that the old young, and it's Dember to Badim Madoas. That is Gigi Dember Mambo, Tisha, Samaki. Jing Omaga to Nick Tong of Coacha. Nibajitoy, Nina and Nijan Namjin Soba to the young, Omaga, what is the town? And it's so the young in Seva in Bayana. They saw with Sendiki, some comedy, and the Nijan Matika Soa, the Nichukan Yamedi, and Casacatone, and Naso Pentoya where it is. They ended up in younger was.
and so in our ordinary experience, we see forms that we see as beautiful or not. We hear sounds that we think are pleasant or not. We taste things that are delicious or not. We feel things that are either, kind of pleasant to the touch or not. And we consider things that are, attractive or pleasant to us or not. And because of those minds which are seeing all those things as being true, that is grasping at the truth of all of those thoughts and feelings, then we generate all of these sensations and feelings of happiness and suffering, and also give rise to our afflictions of desire, aversion, and ignorance, and so on. And so because of all of these things that are either seen or felt as being good or bad or pleasant or unpleasant, then we have a resulting attachment or aversion to those things and resulting sensations or feelings of happiness or suffering or sadness as a result. And so it's because of the grasping at the true reality of those forms, sights, smells, sounds, and objects of our tactile sensation and objects of our mental consciousness. The grasping at the true reality of those things is what gives rise to this attachment, aversion, and ignorance in relation to them. And so if we can start to apply some of these reasonings of the middle way in our ordinary day-to-day lives and consider them, then we can start to see that these things are not truly existing, these things that are giving rise to this mind of grasping at true reality, and that they are all just dependent arisings. And from one perspective, this is going to benefit us just in improving our understanding of the middle way philosophy. And secondly, it's also helping us to put that into practice, which is going to be beneficial to our practice, to our general mental state, and also to be helpful and beneficial to our community or society at large.
네, 저단 남주 나는 그 넘바기 되는 초월다 산지 쪽인데 그냥 저단 대중 출시 남주 그 초월다 되는 거 띵 거예요. 되는 거 숨어요래. 양소쟁은 나는 조금 초월돼. 너가 순용 그 타세는 하량의 지 너용의 차이진 제목이 양지 되는 너가 순용 그 타다. 양 넘바리 시는 조 단들이 나게 또 박은 타. 되니까 잘 거기 숨어요. 그래서 하량의 직된 너용의 제주당 되는 지금 너만치 모양 많이 봐. 어떤 한 넘바리 나 제가 고만 삼아사 고만 또 야고 공고 말이 되는데 나게 또 받다 말로마. 타니가 타와가 소와 띵고 그리 손에 되는 숨어요. 저단 대지. 이바가 전에 저단 그래서 넘바지 임바이나 통서 미망고야 카제 권어 터번도 단 넘바를 쇼차드 베지 소원 조로 띵고원도 또 로양 지금 주만도 띵 공고양도 당 되는 지 배샤사양도 당 되는 넘바가 세마롱원도 지 되는 말아. 그래서 넘바에나 또로 즈보 공초게데 아니 칼라 심보사 초게 모다야고 동초게 배샤 마모사 초게 산제가 까음도 다 얘는 대체주도 가르치는 요지나 존존하는 수만나 이제 너는 동화 주저봐 덴버치 바 도자니 신 그래서 차진데 다방 하장 세니가 말이 숨데 다 대방고 그랬어 다 차진데 전부 미차와 임바이는 짐바다 차지 전부 미차와 임바이는 아 산제네 가도 있는 제시돼요 산제 좀 내가 권가로送的다 권가로 이제 있는 설근 컴바지 양나 초게 됐어 설 저는 그놈의 설도 진짜 방고 그리送有 가야 얘는 권가로 이제 얘는 설근 컴바지 나는 용의 초게送的다 중심 가려지는 권가로 차진이요 차진이요 어떤 소식 거예요 말이야 근데 이제 이거는 근데 임바인데 단 되는 오마그저 받아서 된 때스 고토바이는 나랑서 초와가요 남박은 초와가 쩌다는 배가 야고 고로 같이 단지 템블리 되네 덴바토 바요 말이 어찌 된지가 따와다 아니 따와 되네 여바 임바이나 되네 쩌바가 차는 나랑서 초와 간들지 때문에 임바이나요 이제 denjin다 차진데 하전 그 제목이 차와 임바이나 근데 저부터 소양 배트 과정 뭐 저부터 하대 거양 물어. 어떻게 소용이 바리 다티 엄마기 다저 방마 신데 임바리 스텝 추지 감이 되는 거 벌써 바로 방마 시티는 소용이.
And so ordinarily in Buddhism, one of the primary things to be practiced in terms of your ordinary day-to-day conduct is what's referred to as having lesser desires and practicing contentment. And so, there are kind of two extremes to be avoided in terms of one's way of life. And the first is to have too much desire and attachment and to live too lavishly, and the other is to live in a very impoverished state, thinking that as a Buddhist that you shouldn't ever have any nice things and you shouldn't eat good food, you shouldn't have money, and so on. But we need to be separated from those two extremes, that there's no, the Buddha never told people that they're not allowed to have money, that they're not allowed to drive nice cars, that they're not allowed to have good clothes or eat good food. And so that's one thing, that we need to be kind of separated from these two extremes of extreme attachment and lavishness and extreme kind of self-impoverishment. And some people mistake that and think that, that they have to live a very impoverished life in order to be a Buddhist, that they shouldn't have money and they shouldn't have nice things. And that's a mistake. The point then is that we should be avoiding having great attachment to any of these things. And so there's a quote in the Bodhicharyavatara, the way of the Bodhisattva, that says that those things which is attachment, those are what are to be avoided. And so if you don't have a great attachment or grasping at the objects of your livelihood and so on, for example, even the Buddha said that Ananda could even have a golden house, and that would be fine. And generally, the fully ordained Sangha are not allowed to have money or gold, and so. But because Ananda was free from attachment and desire, the Buddha said that even Ananda could have a golden house. And so if we can have some understanding of this Madhyamaka middle way philosophy and reasoning, then we can really understand that all of these aspects of our ordinary lives and our livelihoods are dependent arisings and that they are not truly existing. And with that view, then whatever kind of livelihood, whatever kind of work that we do or livelihood that we maintain, will be able to be done without any great grasping or great desire or attachment towards that. And it becomes, our general behavior, the way that we conduct ourselves becomes very open-minded and free. And so this has been the 5 great reasonings of the middle way.
사보 되는 말이 딱 뒤따와 거의 연보당 사보당 자체모 여바이나 내가 저 딘디 따와 냠슬린 킹기 가자 껴바트 소양 그래서 그것도 거예요 거의 연보 자체모 아니 렌사보 따와도 껴바니 들어요 근데 되는데 넘버스를 배 그것도 본동 참도 모노 되는 가요 맞대 따와 되는요 껴바요 거의 연보 요리.
And so the view then of the middle way is something which is very vast, profound, and open, and extensive. And if you have such a view, if you have that kind of view, then also a person's behavior doesn't need to be very closed off or restricted. With such a view, because view and conduct are so related, if you have that profound view and that open and extensive view, then conduct will follow suit.
대단히 다른 그 춘삼도 됐어요. 저는 저 유마 안에 자가 담이 되는 거가 세바기 네. 남들 신경을 받던 때는 그 욕도 소때는 저 주된 유마 같은 참 준비 그 욕도 더 받기 속이 되네 이제 딱딱 오마세야 저도 데니다 오마 그래서 parte 때는 하고 잖아. 저는 오마집에 고아야 펜도 야고요데스 된저도 파송 대저단다 로야디 드니성노 동야디 다든다 가추시야디 드니 모모도 된지 오모고를 데스 법jan소 바이나 빼야고요데스 주제는